welcome to joesvlog.com. Life's been getting in the way of me updating my vlog of late, but I'm back, and I decided to follow up my last video on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with some of my own thoughts about the series so far. I'd originally planned this to be a video with my reaction to the pilot, but in actual fact I think this will work out better because we're now 4 episodes in here in the UK, so it's given me an opportunity to form some opinions about what I've seen in the early part of the show. First, before we get into that, I want to give you a spoiler warning and a disclaimer. Obviously, if you're not up to date with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just yet and want to do so, then you'll want to watch this video a little later on. There's also a spoiler for Marvel's film Avengers Assemble as well. Obviously, joesvlog.com owns nothing. Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the property of Marvel, Mutant Enemy, and ABC Studios. The views in this video are solely my own and do not necessarily represent those of the series creators, cast or crew, or anyone involved in the making of the show. Right, well, now that's out of the way, there's only one place for me to start, and that's the fact that Coulson lives. Yes, Agent Coulson is back from the dead, but the reason behind his resurrection for the moment remains shrouded in mystery. The official explanation, given a few minutes into the pilot, by Agent Coulson himself I might add, was that he was clinically dead for a few seconds in Avengers Assemble, before being revived by a S.H.I.E.L.D. medical team and shipped to Tahiti on Director Fury's orders to recuperate. Meanwhile, the Avengers were told of his death in a bid to reunite them before the Battle of New York. This explanation always seemed far too pat and easy and implausible, particularly in a world now seemingly swamped with alien technology and new and advanced weaponry. There had to be a more interesting and indeed plausible explanation for his return. And indeed, the official explanation given by Coulson is dismissed entirely just a few moments later, when by Agent Maria Hill, when in a conversation with S.H.I.E.L.D.'s doctor, played by Ron Glass, who Joss fans will remember from Firefly and its feature film Serenity, and when she tells the doctor he can never know, presumably referring to the true reason behind Coulson's return. Incidentally, I've had the opportunity to meet Ron at a convention in the UK, and he's a really nice guy. What? It's my vlog. I'm going to name drop if I want to. Seriously though, one of the explanations I read about prior to the start of the show was that this version of Coulson may in fact be a highly sophisticated robot, implanted with his memories, yet unaware of its true nature. I can see why this theory might have gained some momentum, as Joss has used robots in the past, in Buffy the Vampire Slayer for example. However, given the damage and the wounds that Coulson has sustained thus far in the course of the series, I think the robot angle is highly unlikely, because I think even with the most sophisticated technology, it doesn't seem plausible that a robot would be able to sustain and withstand that amount of damage without revealing its true nature to everyone. Indeed, what I think's more likely is the use of the alien technology that I mentioned earlier, and we've seen featured throughout the series thus far. That they've used some of this to revive Coulson, and the memory of Tahiti has been implanted in his mind to fill the gap. One thing that makes me think this could be the explanation is the way in which in which Coulson repeatedly refers to Tahiti as a magical place, and the way in which he says it for me has echoes of Joss's series Dollhouse, and the way in which actives would sometimes respond to their handlers. On this visual, in episode 3, The Asset, we see Coulson struggling to reload a gun, something that should be no problem for an experienced S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Yet he seemed to be having problems with his muscle memory, a sign that all is not well with Agent Coulson. As for computer hacker, and it would appear, at least for the moment, former member of the Rising Tide, S.H.I.E.L.D., she seems to be on the verge of becoming a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent herself, with Ward now acting as a SO, or supervising officer. I still have major doubts as to where S.H.I.E.L.D.'s loyalties lie. We see at the end of episode 2, she's clearly still in regular communication with them, and then again in episode 3, she uses her Rising Tide connections to gain access to Ian Quinn's party on the island of Malta, suggesting she still has major connections which she wouldn't have if she'd formally cut all ties. I think S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fundamentally good person, but she's unsure of where to place her loyalties and of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s motives long term. The other issue I have with this storyline is that for the moment we don't even know S.H.I.E.L.D.'s last name, and they're ready to make her a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. It doesn't ring true. For me, this is a case of Coulson keeping his friends close and his enemies closer. He knows S.H.I.E.L.D. has skills he can use, and what better way to keep tabs on the Rising Tide's activities than by giving one of their key members a ride on the bus, so to speak. One slightly irritating point I've found about this storyline is that over the weeks both agents Ward and May have repeatedly insisted that S.H.I.E.L.D. can't be trusted, questioning Coulson time and again. They don't seem to have considered the possibility that Coulson's actually playing S.H.I.E.L.D. and using her to fulfill his own agenda. Which, given the fact that they're both experienced agents themselves, again, doesn't seem plausible. It would have been interesting for me if they'd found a more subtle way to write this, to include this into the episodes. Perhaps S.H.I.E.L.D. covertly trying to move around the plane itself to gain further information and access to things that she otherwise wouldn't have had, rather than just this constant bickering between Ward, May and Coulson for the last 3 or 4 weeks. As you know, I'm a huge fan of Joss, but I'm by no means an expert on Marvel. Indeed, the whole universe is still very new to me. So I had a question that I was hoping someone out there would be able to help me with. At the end of episode 3, we see Dr. Franklin Hall plunge into the gravitonium generator. Then, in the coda at the end of the episode, after the device itself has been locked safe and secure in a S.H.I.E.L.D. vault, we see an arm emerge. My question is, what has the gravitonium done to Dr. Hall? And is this the origin of a Marvel villain? Or is this something that's just been solely created for the show? I'd love to know, and if you have any thoughts, get in touch. As for the agents I haven't mentioned in great detail, i.e. agents May, Ward, and indeed Fitzsimmons, who I think are great fun as they have a warring brother and sister dynamic going on, which is bringing a little light relief to the episodes and a little touch of comedy. It's not that I'm ignoring their contributions. It's just that I think the really interesting parts of their storylines are going to come, and their backstories are going to come later on in the series. And maybe I'll delve into those with another post on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at a later date. But for now, I really want you to have your say. What are your views on Agent Coulson's resurrection? What do you think of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s motives? Are you enjoying the series so far? Is there anything that's really bugging you about the series so far, or are you disappointed or you want to see more of? And let me know. And to do so, it couldn't be easier. Simply email your say at joesvlog.com. You can also reach me on Twitter and Facebook, and those details are on screen now. Well, that's all for this edition of joesvlog.com. Thanks for joining me, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.